Call to order.
Good evening. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046 et sec, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising in the Star Ledger, El Nuevo Coquí, Haiti Progress, and Luz Americano newspapers, and by distribution to the administrative offices of the Newark Public Schools. A copy of the meeting notice was also forwarded to City Hall for posting. This is a regular board meeting for Tuesday night, November 30, 2017.
Please stand for the flag salute. Ready? Salute. You may be seated. Roll call.
Mr. Bledsoe, Ms. Carter, Ms. Fonseca,
Yes.
Ms. Gaddy, Ms. Garcia, Ms. Johnson,
Present.
Ms. Owens,
Present.
Vice Chair Padilla, present. Chair Lewis,
Present.
quorum is present, Mr. Chair.
We'll now have greetings by Principal Jose Fuentes.
Good evening, Deputy Superintendent Gregory, School Board President Lewis, school board members, district staff, and guests. On behalf of our entire staff and students, we would like to welcome you to our school. I have the high honor and privilege of being principal of this great school, where we not only focus on the academics, but also the visual and performing arts. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our third graders who will be performing the third grade blues, which they not only wrote, but also choreographed. Special thanks to our visual and performing arts teachers for their great work and for exposing our students to the arts. Once again, welcome, and please enjoy the rest of the evening at First Avenue School. Third grade students, you're on.
Where's our water and stuff? I want to go get water, juice. Yeah, when I go out, where do I go? Straight down the hall?
Woke up this morning, got school on my mind. Run out the door, can't waste no time. Mom has me lunch, and to my surprise, there's broccoli and apples. I wanna cry. I'll tell you something. You got friends by your side to see you through those third grade blues. Walking to school, homework in hand. Got science and math. It's getting out of hand. Just can't stop thinking about plans after school. The doctor and dentist and homework, the third grade blues. But I'll tell you something, my teacher's on my side to see you through my third grade blues.
Come on, we can do better than that. Let's stand our feet for our young people. Can we stand our feet for our young people and give them a round of applause, please? At this time, we have a very special recognition that we would like to do at this time. There is a young lady in the audience that plans to retire, who just by her roots and who she is and who her father is, have legacy in this city. A lot of her family decided to go to politics, but Miss Wanda Payne decided to accept a calling on her life to educate and help mold the future of this city by being a teacher in our district. So please join me today as we salute Miss Wanda Payne for over 25 years of service and dedication to North Public Schools. Ms. Payne, can you join us? Joseph.
You do better than that. Come on, Harry. You can do better. 25 years is all she should be standing. You should be standing.
Good evening, everyone. I must say that this has to be one of the most magnificent crowds that I've seen in my tenure on the school board here in the North Ward and throughout the city. But we do want to recognize Ms. Payne for her wonderful years of service. 25 years is a long time.
Yes.
Very long time. And to stay in Newark, to be an educator in Newark, and to do what she's done for these young children. And by the way, that third grade blues thing was absolutely great. So I'm going to hand it over now to my colleague, Ms. Josephine Garcia, who's going to read the resolution.
Congratulations, Ms. Wanda M. Payne. It's a proclamation on behalf of the school board and NPS in recognition and appreciation of Wanda M. Payne. Whereas Wanda M. Payne is a lifelong resident of Newark's South Ward. She attended Keene University, where she received a degree in early childhood education. Ms. Payne has always had an infectious love for children. At the tender age of 12, she volunteered at Chen School, and the following year, she secured a summer employment at Chen and continued to work there every summer until she graduated from college. After graduation, Ms. Payne was hired as a head teacher at the Chen School. The following year, she was hired as an educational supervisor for Kitty Academy Daycare in East Orange. Whereas in 1986, Ms. Payne joined the Newark Public Schools team and taught at Camden Street School for 29 years. 25 years as a kindergarten teacher and 4 years as a pre-kindergarten teacher. Okay. During her tenure at Camden Street, she was actively involved with the PTA and served as a Girl Scout Daisy leader for several years. Ms. Payne recently retired from Hawthorne Avenue School, where she spent her last 2 years teaching first grade. Whereas Ms. Payne also worked at Moet, where she presented workshops at Newark Day Center for employees seeking credentials as a child development associate. During the summers, she worked for 25 years at the Newark Fresh Air Fund campership program. Whereas Ms. Payne was always an advocate for youth, she has participated in a variety of initiatives involving children development. She was part of a focus group that developed topics and ultimately published Time for Kids magazine. She was a former youth advisor for Youth and Government, an international program sponsored by the YMCA. She has been a youth leader for the North Jersey Youth Club under the auspices of the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Club, Inc. Teachers in this group were involved in community service, life skills, college preparation, and coalitions. Okay. Whereas, as an active member of the community, Ms. Payne has been a South Ward District leader for 32 years, a member of the NAACP, a soror in the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., and a board member of the NJA Kindergarten Educators. Whereas Ms. Payne credits her love of education and community involvement with her dad, the late Congressman Donald M. Payne Sr., who has a legendary leader and community servant. Ms. Payne plans to continue her work with children, to travel and spend quality time with her son and her soon-to-be 3 grandchildren. Wow. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newark Board of Education does hereby commend and applaud Wanda M. Payne and do hereby recognize her in the presence of her family and friends by dedicating this proclamation in honor of her hard work, dedication, commitment to excellence and accomplishments as a proud product and exemplary employee of Newark Public Schools. Marquise Lewis, our board chair, Tate Padilla, vice chair, our superintendent, Christopher Surf, and of course all my colleagues who are here. Congratulations.
First, I would like to thank the board for recognizing me. And I would like to say that I really enjoyed my tenure at Newark Public Schools. I'm not going to talk too long. And I really, really enjoyed teaching. That's why I never did anything else, because I love being with the children. And I will continue working with children through volunteer work and other programs and working in the community, so I'm not gone. And I'm just taking a little rest. Thank you again.
I just want to also say that that proclamation was sponsored by board member Reginald Bledsoe. So I just want to put that on the record too.
Excuse me, everyone. We have an announcement here. Would the owner of a tote colored Sonata, license plate A as an apple, 84, F as in Frank, N as in Nancy, C as in cat. Please move your car. It's, okay, y ahora alguien que tenga un vehículo con la tablilla A84FNC. Hay que moverlo. Gracias.
Can I get a motion to go into executive session for purpose of personnel, please?
Motion.
Fonseca,
Second.
Second.
second Garcia. Motion to go into executive session for purposes of speaking about personnel. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? Can we tell the public how long?
I promise this won't be long, so you can stay put. 20 minutes top, thank you.
I don't know about that. I got my watch on.
Yeah.
All right, big baby. I want a piece of that cake.
That's not allowed to eat.
Okay, congratulations.
30? We won't say that publicly, will we? Hey, folks. How are you? Okay. How are you? Okay. All right, let's keep going because I...
All right. Can we get a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion.
Garcia. Carter. This motion reconvene from executive session back into open session. All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries. We're back in open session. Garcia, Carter.
Next order of business is our student representative report. For the record, there's no minutes for us approved tonight, so we'll be going to the student rep report.
Good evening, everyone. Since last month, I was able to meet another goal of mine, which is to form a student cabinet. On October 24th, I attended the college fair at Rutgers, where I was able to meet with 15 students from 14 high schools throughout the city of Newark. At the meeting, we were able to establish communication methods, agree on how often to meet, discuss the school-wide attendance issue, and their part in the end-of-the-year culminating project. It was a pleasure being able to establish a bond with my peers and truly begin to be a voice for all the students in Newark. 3 problems were discussed, such as attendance, the uniform policy, and the cafeteria food quality. To begin, the students told me several reasons. Several reasons as to why people in their school are absent frequently. Majority of the problems fall into categories of stress and student engagement. Students feel too much work is given in order to prepare students for college. Those who feel they cannot balance their studies result in avoiding school completely. A solution I recommend is to implement a study hall where students can use that time to complete assignments and personal work. Students also feel they are not engaged in their school enough, so they are not attracted to it. Some high schools lack extracurriculars and chances to fundraise to support the clubs and/or sports they want to have. The classes are also a reason they do not want to go to school because they simply do not enjoy them. If classes such as culinary, arts, wood shop, cosmetology, and robotics were options, students may look forward to that class, therefore having motivation to attend. Another option would be offering more incentives, such as if you attend school for X amount of days, you can dress down. Some schools already have implemented incentives to increase attendance in school, and they seem to be productive. There are certain schools where hoodies are not allowed. I understand that uniform is to be worn at all times to ensure the safety of the students, although some students may not be able to afford several cardigans that fit the school standards. Having students buy sweaters specifically for school and still having to buy regular clothing for outside of school is completely disregarding that uniforms were also implemented for affordability. This could be solved by being more lenient with the uniform policy during the months of school where it is chilly and students need to wear jackets or sweaters over their uniform. Last but not least, students at the meeting discussed the food quality and their options for vegetarians, aka bread and cheese. I personally think the food problem is more than just the food. It is being given the constant promises that things will get better soon, but they do not improve. Despite the conversations we had, the students were excited for this journey to begin, and they appreciated the chance to go to the college fair that was hosted by NCLC and Newark Public Schools. We're officially 1 quarter into our 2017-2018 school year. I hope we're able to fix these concerns and problems to the best of our ability. Thank you.
Any questions? Next order of business is the board chair's report. Good evening, Superintendent, First Avenue leadership team, fellow board members, staff, parents, community members, and students. Welcome to the November meeting of the Newark Board of Education. I'm sitting here today humbled and overjoyed because of what we witnessed here tonight by the performance of our children here at First Avenue School. Can we please give them another round of applause? Tonight's performance gave us hope that our children are on the right track to being successful across the district. It gave us hope that our teachers are doing what they're supposed to do in the classroom to make sure that we prepare our children to be world-class scholars, prepare them for college and the world. We as a board in this district, in this city, we are on the road to local control. On November 1st, Newark Public Schools, Newark Trust, and the Office of the Mayor held local control discussions in 5 wards of the city to engage the community on the local control and local control process to get our community engaged and involved on what will local control look like here in the city of Newark. We heard the voices of our residents. On November 17th, the draft of the transitional plan was submitted to the Commissioner of Education, and the board awaits her approval. I am here today asking that the community stands behind us as we look forward to taking him and leading our district to be an example for the world. Our first African American mayor of this city once told us, wherever America is going, Newark will be the first one to get there. I'm confident that Newark will be the shining example on how local control should look across this nation. I would like to thank all my board members who continually be active in our school district as we attend our school events, as we go to basketball games, football games to cheer our students on. I also will ask everyone to join us at King University on this Saturday as we see the Southside Malcolm X Shabazz Bulldogs and the Weequay Indians go head-to-head for the state title. I, as the chair of this board, must say that I'm proud. I'm proud to say that I'm from Newark Public Schools. This is the district that raised me. This is the district that molded me. And I'm proud to sit at the helm of this board at this time. A long time coming, 25 years of takeover, and now we at the end of the road. But it won't be easy. So I ask you, please lend your hand in support and help us. We don't know everything, but with you, we can be successful. I ask you to continue to pray for us, continue to pray for our children, and continue to pray for our district. Thank you, and God bless you all. Any questions? Our next report is the superintendent report.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deputy Superintendent Robert Gregory. I'm here to present the November Superintendent's Report on behalf of our Superintendent, Christopher Cerf. I also want to echo our board chair's sentiment about joining us this Saturday at 10 a.m. to see for the second year in a row an all-city Newark state championship football game. As a former college football player and high school football player, can't tell you how proud I am to see Newark schools competing at the highest level, and would like to wish Malcolm X Shabazz and Weequay High School the best of luck this weekend. So on our agenda tonight, we're going to start first with some extremely exciting data, extremely important data that shows that the work that is being done in our classrooms across the city of Newark and also by leaders across the city of Newark is actually having a positive impact on all students in this city, and is an indicator that the Newark Public Schools and the city of Newark is on the rise and on the move. So in September, we came to you sharing one of two key metrics that the state uses to measure student learning. In September, we shared our proficiency measures, which is how many students met or exceeded expectations on our state exam, the PARC. One of the things we emphasized during that presentation in September is we've been making some systemic changes, and we've also been able to demystify or dispel this myth that the longer students stay in the Newark Public Schools, the less intelligent that they get. We can now confirm that with the most recent data that the state has released, and that is our student growth data. Each year, the state looks at how much each student improves from one year to the next year compared with their academic peers. And I am excited to say that for the first time, Newark students grew at or above the state average in both ELA and mathematics. I think that deserves a round of applause. Last night, we celebrated some of that success, and our board members joined us in recognizing 11 schools who not only showed high growth, but also outperformed peers in the district. But what I am most excited about is the difference and change in this data. You see where we started in 2012 in the area of English language arts, And you see exactly by looking at the charts here where we are now in 2017. You see similar growth in the area of mathematics, again, 5 years later, and we should all be very proud of teachers and administrators who have persevered through some extremely challenging times. And when I say challenging times, the introduction of the Common Core standards involved shifts, paradigm shifts and pedagogical shifts that teachers had to embrace, understand, and learn, and begin to implement in order to get better results on revised standardized assessments like the PARC. This, I feel, is a graph that really paints the picture the way the public should see it. In 2012, our school-level SGP scores, we only have 5 schools that were at or above 50% in both ELA and math in terms of growth. If you look at the lower left quartile, you will see an abundance of schools who had low growth in both math and ELA. Let's look at what it looks like 5 years later. We have 15 schools that are above 50 in both ELA and math, 16 others that are at or above 50 in either ELA or math. And what does this mean? It means that thousands more students are actually growing in math and ELA in just 5 years. This is also an important graph for the public to understand. This is all students in Newark. And the reason we want to focus on this one and emphasize why it matters is because high growth in recent years has led to improved student achievement. What we always want to see is this widening gap begin to be narrowed. And that gap that I'm talking about is the achievement gap that we've been reading about since Brown versus Board of Education. And finally, for the first time in the Newark Public Schools, we see that achievement gap beginning to narrow. Newark students are now outperforming a majority of their peers in similar districts in the state of New Jersey. Let's look at where we are at here, because this is an extremely exciting story. In math, a higher percentage of our students meet or exceed expectations in Newark. This is regardless of their socioeconomic status, i.e. free or reduced lunch. This is our students in Newark who are actually outperforming states, PARC states. So the students in the city of Newark outperformed the state of Illinois, the state of Colorado, Rhode Island, Washington, D.C., and New Mexico. That is something we should all be very, very proud of and worthy of a round of applause. You see the same positive story in English language arts. Little different in terms of who we outperformed here, but I think the key that I want everyone to zero in on is we are not, again, just looking at Newark students versus free and reduced lunch. We are looking at Newark students versus all students in other states. And you see this positive indicator. So the big message is we are growing at faster rates than our peers, and it is a result of the due diligence of the people in the schools making these things happen. When we compare apples to apples, another story emerges. And when I say apples to apples, this graph shows the percentage of free and reduced lunch students that meet or exceed expectations. What it's important for us to understand is, as a city, when we look at how we serve students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, we outperform the state of New Jersey and every other PARC state in this country. So again, something worthy of celebration, and again, this is in mathematics, and something worthy of us being proud of the work that the adults in these buildings are doing on behalf of our students. In English language arts, very proud to say it looks even more promising. If you are a free and reduced lunch student here in the city of Newark, we know that you will outperform all other free and reduced lunch students in the state of New Jersey and in any state in these United States of America. This is one I want to focus on. So when we look at all school districts with more than 2,000 free and reduced lunch students in Park States, a higher percentage of our low-income students in Newark meet or exceed expectations in math than in nearly all other districts. And just take a look at the bottom part of the graph here so that you can see just in fact the growth that we are exhibiting and where all Newark schools are. If you see, we are number one when we combine charter schools and traditional public schools. But when we take charter schools out the mix completely and we look at Newark Public Schools in isolation, the only school district doing better than us is Union City in the state of New Jersey. So again, I ask that we applaud our teachers, we applaud our leaders, and more importantly, we applaud you as parents and this community for your support of our kids. So there's 5 major key takeaways that I want to reinforce this evening. There is still a lot of room for progress to be made in Newark. We are not looking for overnight solutions. We are not looking for silver bullets. We are not looking for siloed solutions. Instead, comprehensive, systemic solutions to undo systems that have historically failed our students and our community. And with that in mind, we have to remain focused on the goal. That goal being that every kid in Newark gets the education that they in fact deserve. That goal being that every kid in this city, regardless of their birth circumstance, continues to experience the America that we all pledge allegiance to on a daily basis, the America that our ancestors dreamed of, the America that ultimately affords them a life where they have choice, where they are economically independent, and where they in fact can choose who they want to govern them. This progress will be achieved by growing on par or above state average each year, as we did in 16-17. And due to this recent growth, the city of Newark now outperforms nearly all participating Park States outside of New Jersey. When just looking at lower income students, 80% of those students who qualify for free or reduced lunch, Newark schools outperform them, including the state of New Jersey and other states. But the data also shows that schools in the city of Newark educate low-income students more successfully than nearly all other large park districts in all states in America. Next thing I want to go over is our enrollment calendar for the 17-18 school year, as there are some important dates approaching fast. On December 4th, which is next Monday, this forthcoming Monday, our universal enrollment application opens to the public. On December 9th, which is next Saturday, at Barringer High School, we are hosting our K through 12 school fair. On February 16th, the universal enrollment application period will close. And in late April, all match letters will be released to families, and the family enrollment portal will become available shortly after. At the school fair at Barringer High School, what can you expect? Parents, you can explore school options, experience school performances, complete the Newark Enrolls application, but I must clarify, you do not have to show up at that school fair to complete that application. That application opens on Monday, December 4th. Last year, there was a lot of confusion. People thought you had to show up at the school fair in order to complete an application. I want to dispel that myth and ensure that all of you after this presentation knows that application is live on our website, and later in the presentation I'll show you where that is. But we also would like you to come out and enjoy some face painting, some family fun, pizza, and refreshments. Again, that is next Saturday at Barringer High School. Last but certainly not least, one of the most important things that we feel we need to get better at, and I said this last month during a superintendent's report, is the way that we communicate with families. And as a result, our communications team has done some important enhancements to our district website to make information more available to our hardworking parents who at times struggle making it to schools. So on our website, there are 5 key areas that we want to draw your attention to. One, you can find out information about every school in the city of Newark. You can find out key information about our academic programs that we offer in all content areas. You can also find out key information about the budget and finances, this board, the agendas that are forthcoming, and CUSAC, which is something we have to go through annually to maintain local control. For parents and families who want to access information about students in schools, the first thing you can do is choose the school that you want to find on our website. You can go to our student enrollment site to access the school guidebook and other school information, or you can go to the Power Schools login to access individual information about your child. When you look at school and student information, this is what will pop up. This is a sample report for Oliver Street School. So on the left side of the screen, you will see a school guidebook summary. Again, those guidebooks will be made available this week, next weekend at the school fair, but they're also available online. And then, more importantly, you can find out all information about a school's data and their student performance outcomes. Those outcomes are based on last school year, and when you go on the school snapshot sheet, you can see what type of school it is, what grades they serve, how many students they serve, their student outcomes, their resources and programs. So again, if families are interested in finding out how their school is doing, I would highly encourage you to log on to our website. Academics, something that we've also enhanced for both families and employees. For our families, you can literally go to any one of these tabs and find out the curricular programs that we offer by grade level in these core content areas. Our employees can go here. They have different access than families, but our employees can go here and access all the resources made available for them. Those are curricular resources, in addition to accessing information about interim assessment dates, our career and technical education courses, things of that nature. Here's something that I want everyone to hone in on, as it is something that, as of late, has been part of a lot of discussion. And that is, what does our budget reality look like? And how does our finances fare? So again, all current and past district budgets are available on the website at this particular tab. All you have to do is click it. You can access every school's budget from last year and from previous years, and you can access with detail our district's budget. Again, I would highly encourage you to take advantage of our website. You should also know that you can find out the agendas of school board meetings, the minutes from those meetings, videos, and information about individual board members so that you know who to contact if in fact there are concerns, and also where these meetings will be held on a monthly basis. Some other resources that I just want to zero in on is our news feed.
Sorry, just 1 second. There's someone blocking the car to have to leave. There's a white Mercedes-Benz truck, KU50GUU. Mercedes-Benz white, gotta go. All right.
Okay, my apologies. So let me begin to conclude. There are news feeds every time we put out a press release. That feeds right onto our website. When you log right on our website, you go to the bottom and you see the NPS news feeds. You also see our Twitter feeds there. And so again, any and all information that you want to access about schools is on our website, and we are continually finding ways to enhance it. I would like to commend our communications department because, as I've stated in the past, I've been in this district for over 20 years now, and I can say that I've never seen our website look the way it does now. So with members of our communications department, if you're in the audience, please stand up and be recognized. Tracy and Paul, I think Paul is here. Tracy, please stand up. Thank you very much for your efforts. Last but certainly not least is our Statement of Assurance annual CUSAC report. And so annually, all school districts across the state of New Jersey have to submit a self-assessment on CUSAC indicators. So we just wanted to provide you an understanding of how we have assessed ourselves over the last 2 school years. I'm not going to read this to you, instead show you that we naturally think we are doing a phenomenal job in these areas, and that has been confirmed by the state's confidence in us and them giving us local control back. Again, CUSAC was our pathway to local control, and we will continue to operate in an exemplary manner to maintain local control. That's all I have for our report tonight. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Mr. Lewis.
Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Good evening, everyone. Buenas tardes. I just wanted to make a statement. It is definitely a statement, not a question or up for conversation, but I do recall when we spoke about the universal enrollment way back when there were some issues with the board and how the process works, and now this is, here we're entering into everything going up and it's live, and those conversations haven't transpired with the board members, like having kind of our input of what our concerns have been over the months that we've been talking about it. So I'm just gonna ask that we begin to approach that very intensely as a board, because now we have local control, and all the stops that kind of came through in the transition period, you know, at this point, like, we're the ones that have to have tremendous involvement in that process. So I'm just asking that the conversation come to fruition and not be paused now that all this is happening and kind of, we were not spoken to, well, at least I wasn't, so.
Sure, we concur. Thank you.
Any other board member? I just realized something from my notes. In the superintendent report this month, the board asked that we get the enrollment numbers. So that was supposed to reflect in the superintendent report this month. So that's just a note.
Just for clarification, when you say enrollment numbers?
We wanted to see where our enrollment numbers was after October 15th. And we was told it was going to be reflected in our November report.
No problem. We have presented that information in our Program and Instruction Committee, and that is, again,
But not to the board as a whole.
The request actually was made to Board Relations. I don't know if that was communicated with you all.
yeah, unfortunately, I was not aware of that, but we will make sure we accommodate those requests.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Next order of business is public participation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the public participation portion of the session of the meeting. As a reminder, time limits for all speakers will be enforced. No sharing or granting of speaking time to others. Speakers must be present when their name is called. Speakers are required to give their names and addresses. The public participation portion of the meeting is limited to 1 hour and 30 minutes. Examples of unacceptable behavior that are not permitted include but not limited to naming district employees and engaging in personal attacks, slurs, excessive loudness, calling out, yelling, generally disruptive behavior, attempting to disrupt the meetings, or inciting others to do so. Public participation in these meetings is intended to allow individual members of the public the opportunity to address the board and the administration on issues of public concern, not as a forum for two-way dialogue with the board members or district officials. The superintendent or designee or chair may respond to questions either at the end of the session or responses may be provided at a later time. The superintendent designee or chair may interrupt any speaker or terminate any speaking privilege if the comments are disruptive or obscene. An individual may be cautioned that a personally directed statement may be slanderous or defaming, and the individual may be liable for his or her statements. Attempts to hijack or filibuster proceedings, repeated interrupting or badgering the board chair, district officials, repetitive and truculent speech, or disregard of the rules of decorum are not tolerated and may subject the individual to removal from the meeting. If necessary, the meeting may be adjourned.
First speaker, Xavier Torres. Not speaking. Next speaker, Denise Cole. Not speaking. Next speaker, Yolanda Johnson. Not speaking. Next speaker, Kathleen Witcher. Not speaking. Is she here? Oh, okay. Next speaker,
Christopher Connect.
Christian Kenny.
Kind of.
So who are we on? Christopher?
I don't know what to do about that. All right. Originally, I was supposed to speak on behalf of New Caucus to support the call for re-examining of the STEM curriculum and implementation across the district. But as my colleague who was here to speak in tandem is no longer present, I'm going to instead call attention to some differences that I've noticed. You see, each month or so, teachers receive a newsletter from the superintendent's office or from downtown. And in that newsletter is fun stuff about the city of Newark and education in the city of Newark, including consistently charter school articles. This article that I received this month, titled Newark Charter School Fund, Newark Public Schools Collaborate on Fireside Chat Event, was, I'm assuming, held on November 8th. Anyway, the gentleman who I guess is the keynote speaker for that said that putting all kids in one kind of school is profoundly unfair to kids. He also said that, let's see, key decisions are being made at headquarters and that schools are cookie cutter and school districts are monopolies. That's what he says about NPS, presumably, since he's talking about all public schools. And he was very insistent that public schools be more like charter schools. So I'm going to read you some data, because this is very much about data, and I want to give you some real data. Last time, I accidentally got the suspension rate for North Star Academy wrong. I said it was 25%. I was incorrect, and I want to acknowledge that. It was actually 23.4%. That means that in an average year, 23 out of every 100 students that walk in the door of North Star Academy are suspended. 23 in 100, that's 2 in 10, more than 2 in 10. That's 1 in 5. If you're in this room and you have 5 children, one of them would have been suspended. That's something of interest to me because Central High School has 5% suspension rate. Additionally, I'm just going to read some quick data figures. These are from North Star Academy. These are enrollment rates from 9th grade through 12th grade. 9th grade, 184 students. 10th grade, 135 students. 11th grade, 84 students. 12th grade, 84 students. That seems remarkable because almost all the numbers are the same at Central High School. Enrollment trends with special needs, 8% special needs. Central High School, well, I might get cut off, but I'll read it anyway. I gotta waste a little extra time here, sorry. Central High School, 25%. Well, if public schools are going to be a lot more like charters, then a lot of changes have to happen, and it sounds like we ought to start suspending a lot more people, and we ought to start taking a lot less special needs kids.
Thank you.
I hope that you can live with that.
Next speaker, Deborah Smith Gregory.
She's so suave.
Always.
Good evening, Board. My name is Deborah Smith Gregory. I reside at 703 South 12th Street and serve as the president of the Newark Branch NAACP. There is a question, I have 3 questions of the board. The local control transition meeting consolidated notes were distributed tonight. They're out on the back table. And my question to the board is, what is to become of these notes? Are they a part of the transition plan? And at what point will we, the community, have an understanding of the transition plan, what it is, what it consists of, and to be able to have voice. Now, I realize that this is our voice, that was consolidated by Newark Trust for Education. But I think that we should have more follow-up, and that these notes should not just be distributed, but we should be told how they're going to be folded in, as well as having a better understanding of what the contents of the local, the transition plan for local control. Also, still asking for the audit, operational and financial audit of the Newark Public Schools system, so that when we do gain full local control, we will know what it is that we're gaining. We'll have a full understanding of the status and condition of our house. So I just wanted to make sure that I want to keep that conversation alive about the audit. I do not want that to go away, as well as having a better understanding, the entire community having a better understanding of the process for local control and the sending of the highly specialized person to help guide this. I think that the community needs to know exactly what that looks like, when this person will come in, what the role of this person will be, as well as seeing what the transition plan looks like. Thank you.
Next speaker, Donald Jackson.
You want to sit over here?
Not appearing. Next speaker, Phil Sellinger. Not appearing. Next speaker, Donna Jackson. Not appearing. Next speaker, Catherine Ramos. Not appearing. Next speaker, Jimmy White. Not appearing. Next speaker, Belinda Jackson. Not appearing. I was on the road to this name. Esther Har Abdullah Abota.
Good evening. So we're going to try again, because it's an easy name. You want to try again? All right, let's do this. So we're going to go with the first name, Ezdahar.
Ezdahar.
You got it. And the last name, you have a choice. Most of my students call me Professor Hatab. The first one is Abu. A-B-U, it's Abu. And the second one, Hatab. Abu Hatab.
Abu Hatab.
Fantastic.
I got it from now
You
on.
did it.
I got it from now
You did
on.
it. Sounds wonderful. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board. Good evening, families, educators, scholars, students, everyone. So I'm standing in front of you tonight to talk about something very important, which is STEM education. I stand tonight in front of you to say that we should not be afraid to stretch the minds of our kids in this great city that we call the city of Newark. We are not to be afraid to teach them science and math and technology early and expose them and stimulate their minds so they can create and so they can achieve. I want to remind all of you that think about where we would be today if it wasn't for STEM education. All of us in this life, we face challenges. We face things that we need to learn about more, but we can never say to ourselves that we are to quit something or leave something because it's difficult. In this life, we have many defeats, but we should never be defeated. And that's what we should teach our children. When you struggle in a subject, you have your parents and your family that love you, and you have your teachers that get up every morning to serve you and teach you and help you succeed and achieve. So, also we have to remember that when we educate those students, especially in STEM, we are preparing them for the competitive future globally, not just at the level of our country, at the level of the world. So tonight, I want to share with you some scientific facts that happened through the education of science. And I begin with the synthesis of penicillin. Where would we be without this antibiotic that kills bacterial infection that people have on a regular basis? Another thing that we all forget about, before the synthesis and the making of anesthetics that you take when you go for surgery, people used to be hit on the head so they can be knocked down so you can operate on them. Think about the synthesis of dynamite for engineering, for civil engineering. Every time you drive your car through 280, that was a mountain. How could it have been possible to drive through that if it wasn't for those scientists, those people that were thinking beyond the limits? Think about the making of polymers like PVC. We used to use lead, but now we know better. We use PVC for plumbing. Think about our soldiers, think about our police officers, our firefighters. Where would they be without a substance we call Kevlar, which we make bulletproof vests? This is what STEM education gets you. One last one I just want to share with all of you. is where would be all the 344 prisoners, and including Julius Rufin, that was incarcerated, if it wasn't for DNA analysis that got those 344 people and Julius Rufin out of prison.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Ms. Thomas Luna.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Luna. I live at 243 Halsey Street. I'm a math teacher here, so I definitely really appreciate Ms. Ezdahar's comments, because point slope formula is no joke for 8th graders. I want to talk about three things. First is a congratulations and a thank you. Second is about budgets and transparency. And third is about a situation that came up in a community event that I was at that I just want to bring to your attention. The first is congrats. Congrats to the board. Congrats to Mr. Cerf, Mr. Gregory on the local control meetings that we had over the city on November 1st. I'm not sure if community members here went to that, but it was one of the best events that I have been to in this city, hosted by NPS. And there were a lot of new faces in the crowd and a lot of people who left there really, really energized about the work that was done, about the endeavors that we have, and about the opportunities that we can provide. And much like Ms. Gregory's comments, I hope that we can continue to do those and not let those conversations die, because when you have so much energy and a city so united around this idea of change and progress, beautiful things can happen on behalf of our kids. And so I look forward to more of those things happening. I also want to thank Board Member Owens, Johnson, and Lewis for their attendance for a NEED event that we had. NEED is an organization that is growing here, Newark for Educational Equity and Diversity. It is comprised of parents, teachers, school leaders, community members, and again, so many new faces there, energized and ready to bring some amazing things to Newark. And having elected leadership there and present not only is important, not only is special, but it allows them and allows everybody that is new to say that we are in this together. So thank you very, very much for your presence, and thank you again, and congrats to the board as well. The second thing is about budgets. Again, Mr. Gregory, you talked earlier about the budgets and how they are a bit more transparent, and you are right. That big, monstrous packet that we pick up sometimes is nowhere near transparent. It's in good faith, but what I was looking at on the website that you were talking about, is a lot better. However, I think that we can raise the bar when we look at that. And what I mean by that is go even deeper into the spending, right? When I looked at Arts High School, $25,000 was spent on undistributed improvements, and that was it. As a community member, I'm like, okay, what were those improvements? Why were books not purchased, or why were other things that seemed a little more important not purchased? And I wouldn't be able to answer that by looking at the numbers. And so I think if we're going to push ourselves forward in transparency, that those are the kind of questions that we should be able to answer as a community. And last, Ms. Cole and Ms. Johnson aren't here today. However, they had a community event in which students and families from Bruce Street were able to talk about their experiences. One of the experiences that came to my attention was disturbing, in that a student who was a displaced classroom in Bruce Street doesn't have the facilities to know when a fire alarm happens. His class was left behind. Right? And for me, I think that is an issue, a policy issue that we can address. Mr. Padilla, I know that that is your area of expertise here as chair of facilities, but I'm hoping it's something that we can address so that we don't leave, it shouldn't take chance to save us from catastrophe. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Luna. Next speaker, Mr. Brandon Ripley. No show. Next speaker, Mr. Robbie Holden. Miss. Sorry, I apologize. Miss Robbie.
Good evening. I'm Robbie Holden, and I reside at 24 Summer Street in Newark, New Jersey. I represent the James Street Historical Commons Neighborhood Association, and I spoke last month at Arts High School about the Save the Burnett Street initiative. I'm here again to talk about that as well. Last month in October, the James Street Historical Commons Neighborhood Association expressed our concern to the Board of Ed about the selling of the Burnett Street School. Furthermore, we met with Mayor Ross Baraka and Deputy Mayor and informed them of our opposition. The mayor had indicated that the school had not been sold at that time, and that we should contact the Newark Housing Authority. Newark Housing Authority now has oversight of the school, as you all know. We reached out to the NHA recently to discover that they have bidders for the school and that the school is for sale. Despite this, we ardently believe that there remains an opportunity to have a magnet district public school at the Burnett Street School location. We have collectively decided as an association that it should remain a public school to address the educational needs of current and incoming families of the Central Ward. Furthermore, that neighboring universities such as Rutgers University and NGIT, which continue to expand into our communities, along with any new buyer, assist the community and the local government with creating a high-quality educational program that rivals that of wealthier communities, allowing our children the ability to enter into Ivy League upper educational institutions if they opt to. Having such a facility in our community will simultaneously attract working and middle-income families into the Newark, New Jersey area and create a sustainable city for all parties. By the way, just so you know, we have recently submitted an Open Public Records Act request to the Newark Housing Authority, asking them to release all correspondence in reference to the selling of this school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Shay Cowler. Shay? No? No show. Next. Oh, you did? Oh, you okay. He's making his way down. There he is.
Good evening, Newark residents, distinguished board members, community friends. My name is Che Coulter. I'm also the district leader in Newark South Ward, where I represent 1,095 citizens. I represent public school residents and charter school choice school residents. And I just wanted to tell this board the current program through the Family Engagement Office is going very well. And I think that we should get as many parents to support those community-wide and citywide Parent Institute workshops. I attended one yesterday at Westside High School, but if we could expand that somehow, we want to do that. I know I only have a short amount of time, but some of the discussion in the community around the transition plan was that we would have liked to saw that document more transparent to the entire board with the women that are on this board to have such a diversity of mental skill sets. It is a shocker to all the fathers and mothers in Newark who value education for one person on a board to restrict that information. Moving forward, as we go through this local control process, we want to have all the information available to you all. And I would encourage you all in your next retreat, if it is somewhere within the capacity of your own convictions, to find a new majority within yourselves. And if you do feel that a quorum does exist where you can establish that new majority, reorganize yourselves in the fashion and in compliance with Robert's Rules of Order. The other thing I wanted to weigh in on is my son attends North Star Academy, and I've heard some rhetoric around suspension. He's never been suspended. So we want to begin to dispel some of those rumors and myths that might be not based in fact, but based in fiction. And also, in reference to the STEM, there's huge opportunities for Newark Public Schools to get involved with STEM. I heard STEM come up from a teacher here today. Well, guess what? We had 2 Port Authority meetings, and the Port Authority is open to the idea of letting our students shadow their engineers. So I'll be submitting some of that to the Finance Committee and to any board member that has experience with environmental. They're at the environmental stage of their development with the Port Authority, and I didn't see as much of a presence from NPS there as I would have liked to. There were partners like myself and other parents who are going to bring that information to you, but if we could, let's look at the Port Authority to enhance our STEM, because they'll be redesigning their energy grid and they'll be establishing a new BTU usage for energy consumption, particularly in the South Ward. Affirmative action, Mr. Chairman, if we could, eventually, can we have a clear presentation on how the affirmative action program is going to move through the rest of your term as chairman, so that we get a diversified group of businesses doing business with NPS? I got 15 seconds. The enrollment center is critical to student athletes. I ask you to not close it, because there are athletes in this town who are engaging in recruiting opportunities, and we don't want that door to be shut on them. And that's pretty much it. And that you represent all children, and that the charter school kids and the public school kids, they have a connection, and that connection is that they're all low income. So let's not allow outside agendas to influence the professionalism and the excellence that exists on this board. And I appreciate all of you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Lyndon Brown.
Good evening. First, I want to make sure that the student who signed up to speak, his name is on the list, because I don't want to be too late getting home tonight to finish his homework. Xavier Torres?
Yeah.
Okay, he is on the list. Okay.
Okay, I feel.
Okay, good. So he'll speak
We're almost
next.
at the end of the list.
Thank you very much. Okay, so first I want to talk about the need for uniform assessments for our K-2 students. By the time our students get in third grade, half of them are 2 or 3 grade levels behind. There should be some sort of assessment that they receive between kindergarten and second grade, so that we can see where they are. And when I talk to a lot of principals, they say, oh, the district doesn't have one in place. They had it years ago, no more. I don't know if the charter schools have one. I don't know if Patterson, Joy City, whoever has one, you guys need to talk to other districts and make sure that our kids get an assessment so that by the time they reach third grade, they're on the proper reading, writing, and math levels. It is a serious problem. Parent-teacher conference nights were not as poorly attended as they were in previous years, so I was happy to see an increase in the attendance of parents at the parent-teacher conference nights on Tuesday. I also want to talk about the need for our board members to, give kudos to those who are doing well. George Washington Carver fed the homeless and the community on Thanksgiving. They did a phenomenal job. Westside High School fed the day before. Camden Middle did a phenomenal job. So many schools really reached out during the Thanksgiving season and fed so many people. And I just think they needed a round of applause. I want to continue to advocate for our student athletes who really need the resources that they've not been getting. Guidance counseling in this new public schools need to be revamped. There's some training that needs to be going on with our guidance counselors. They're telling students, oh, you cannot use a fee waiver to take an ACT. You can only use a fee waiver for an SAT. If the child decides they want to take an ACT or they want to go to the military to take an ASVAB, the district is required to pay for those fees. And if students are being told, no, you can only use your fee waiver for an SAT. So there's a lot of things going around throughout the district that are putting our kids in a win-lose situation, and that's unacceptable. And finally, I want to talk about the fact that a lot of our administrators really need to do some deep diving when it comes to making sure our kids have rigor in the classroom. A lot of students are just getting dittos or they're getting work to keep them busy, but they're really not getting that type of instruction that's going to really get them to be able to compete with other high school students across the district. And when I look at what's been going on in the city of Newark over the past 2 weeks, with the crime, a lot of them have been juveniles, teenagers from Newark public schools. And so the counseling and the mentoring is missing in action. We need our substance abuse coordinators back in our schools. We need to make sure that the issues that some of these children have, their challenges, are addressed at the elementary school level. Because by the time they get to high school, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, they're committing some very serious offenses. So let's get with our social workers and our guidance counselors and our elementary schools and our principals to bring back those resources that our students need.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next speaker, Wilhelmina Holden.
Mr. Chair.
Can we have the students speak?
We only have 2 more speakers. I wanted to get through this so we could then let the student close out.
Could we consider that it's getting late so the student can speak if he's planning on leaving right after he speaks? Xavier Torres. Maybe he was shot.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead. You go.
Good evening. Sorry for my attire. I just came back from practice. Yeah. I just want to say that first let me introduce myself. I'm Xavier Torres, and I'm the team captain of Science Park High School track team. And I would just like to say that athletic in Newark, it really opens a lot of opportunities for kids, and opens a lot of doors for kids that don't really have the money to, attend college. It helps reduce crime rates, and it just keeps a lot of kids out from the streets. And I believe that our athletic program should be more, it should be pushed more. I believe that we should have, we should go to national meets, that we should be able to do a lot of things within our community and even at the national level, so that way we could try to put Newark on the spot and have the exposure for a lot of student athletes here in Newark. And it's not only for me. I'm talking about for all student athletes in general. We work really hard, a lot of late nights, and it's really hard to be an athlete. And I believe that in order for us to really be successful and to have a lot of how can I say it, a lot of opportunities, we have to try to expose all our student athletes to some of the best programs and to some of the best meets or some of the best games that are out there and available, so that way we are able to acquire D1 scholarships and just try to get the best education possible so we can go to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you. Xavier, I know you have to leave. I just wanted to inform you at our last operations committee meeting, we did ask the executive director of athletics to come before the committee, and we did discuss, about uniforms and how the coaching and, protocol. So he's going to come before us next month, I believe, with another report, because this board want to make sure that our children are as equipped as other children are across the state when they go out and they compete to represent us well. So thank you so much for coming before the board tonight. Now, Ms. Wilhelmina Holder.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone had a great holiday. For me, this is bittersweet because, as you know, we've lost one of our great students. We just left a candlelight vigil and a meeting, community meeting about an action plan to move us forward as a community, and it involves moving our youth forward. What I'd like to say is I need a comprehensive audit done before this board is returned to full local control. And the reason I say that is because there are programs, it doesn't seem to have a sense of urgency the way we would like. Programs such as Pathways to College and other programs that prepare our children for a proper future. 80% of the jobs in the future require a college degree, whether we like it or not. But we're not training our children. We're not preparing our children. We're too laid back, which is why we have children leaving us in the state of despair, depression, and need, because we're not really urgent. We say we're all on the same page, but I beg to differ. I'm looking at numbers. I watch faces. I look at children, the sense of hopelessness. I go to schools. This week I had the pleasure of walking with a parent and a student room by room. I'm looking at the rundown facilities in which our children are learning. And for that, we all need to be ashamed. You go into a building and you see cracked paint. The doors to the classrooms are cracked. The walls are cracked. The desks for 7th and 8th graders are geared for 3rd and 4th graders. I could not believe the space they're bunched up into, and it's not a livable space where they should be able to achieve. We need to be ashamed. If you have not walked through these buildings, I invite you to do so, because I don't care what it takes. The very least we can do is give a conducive physical environment so that children don't feel they're not cared for. Because believe me, I felt I wasn't cared for that night. After I went room by room and saw the same thing over and over and over and wondered why the board and the community had not said anything before. Some of you have gotten raises downtown. That's great if you did anything to earn them, because we need books in the classrooms. That's the other thing I looked at. Some of the books were ragged. The desks would look dog-chewed. The chairs would, splinters easily. And I said, they're giving themselves raises, and our children don't have technology and books or a conducive physical environment? In spite of a great teacher, that does something for children year after year, day in and day out. We need to address that facility issue and find the money to make it happen. If we have to go and pick up a paintbrush ourselves and paint the classrooms, I don't mind. I invite you to join me. So there are some great things happening. Week Creek High School is going to state champions. Yay! Shabazz is going south side. Okay, I hear you, Jackie. But the point is, we need to address the things that our children are finding challenging. And that is a big issue for me. If we're asking them to do all they can do to be the best student they can be, and we put them in an environment that says, we do not care about you. I want you board members to walk class by class, pick any school. I'm sure the school I visited wasn't the only one. Choose a school and then do your own assessment, because it is criminal if we don't get an audit done to find out how we can put more money in the classrooms that make this a livable space for our children. And it's environmental as well, because we got dust and children with allergies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holder.
Thank you, Ms. Holder. Next speaker, Roberto Cabanas. Not appearing. Lucius Jones. Walked in just on time. We might as well get the red carpet for you. Welcome back, Mr. Jones.
No problem, Mr. Martin, Mr. President. How you doing? Board members, Lucius Jones. Of course, I live at 224 Richelieu Terrace, or AKA 2 Cedar Street. I like to begin by saying this is my first meeting for the year, and some of you I didn't even hear from you. You didn't know if I was healthy, dead, alive, but I'm feeling good. I feel a little energized. I'm having some eye issues, but I'm here basically to talk about that issue called being blind. So let's talk about being blind. See, the blind can't lead the blind. So we're gonna have to talk about this being blind, because the blind can't lead the blind. And there are some issues that we have to talk about. Let's talk about when you can't see or have a vision for the students, staff, community of this district, meaning those folks that are in power, whoever they are, then we are not a democracy. Because in order to have a democracy, then we got to have everyone having opportunity to have input. And those leaders who represent us must also be the ones to say, These are my ideals. And what I've learned is that we must be collaborative. This is what the district taught me, because it took me a long time to get there. But we must be collaborative in how we approach it. A lot of times I walked into these meetings, if I didn't have a baseball bat, I would pull out my cane. But I learned that that wasn't getting me very far. And what I also learned is that time waits for no one. Board members, we have to begin to see the goal at the end of the rainbow. And what I begin to see, what I mean by the goal at the end of the rainbow, is when I did a tour yesterday on the parent open house, and I sat down and talked to some teachers at one particular school, a child, a special needs student, who had an IEP, and that particular student was not allowed to have his counseling with the child study team, but he had 3 F's on his report card, and the teacher said, "But I got it. I got him." She got him to the extent where math, reading, and literacy, he got all F's on those. A in gym, A in art, all of those activities that's not going to get him anywhere, he got an A in. And she said, "I got him." Then I went to another school and visited. I'm not going to say the name, but I went to this school, this kid, where the teacher called him a fag and a B. The teacher did that. And this administrator really who was handling the situation, he was bothered by that fact that the kid was called those names. But I asked the administrator, what does it say on the child's report card? It says F, 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 F. And I said, wow. So I looked at the mother and said, how long you been here? 2 weeks. He just signed into the school 2 weeks ago. Now somebody explain to me, how you in the school for 2 weeks and you got F's all up and down your report card? There is no way you can get a 9 assessment in 2 weeks. So what are we doing, people? What are we doing? Our kids don't have the skills, they say, to get into college. Our kids don't have the skills to graduate high school with an adequate diploma. And the question is why? Why? At $1 billion a year, and the state has been in control since what, 20-some years? Well, that's almost equivalent, that's more than half of the state's budget for 1 year. We have some real serious issues with what's happening in the classroom and the quality of what's happening in the classroom and the real expectation for children. Now, the circumstances is there are some children that can be successful because parents know where they're going to land because they're engaged. And there's most of our children who are living in the foster home, who are raised by their grandparent, who can't get out to all these meetings, whose children are going to be stuck behind first base. Be prepared for prison or busting somebody upside the head on your way home from a board meeting. This is some serious stuff. I look back and I say, my daughter's in William Patterson, and all I got to worry about is coming up with is $2,000 for her first semester. And that first semester is almost over, and I'm hoping that there's not another $2,000 for second semester. But our children are going into college, and they don't have a plan. So Diamond told me when she was at William Patterson, I went up there to Walmart, and she loaded the cart with $400 worth of food. Ain't no way in the world this child can eat $400 worth of food. But she said that she had to cook the food for the other students who don't have food vouchers. Even if our kids get to college, they can't sustain it. We have to have a better vision for our kids. We have to set the high expectation. We done got rid of a lot of our programs in the schools to support kids, and now they don't have the resources or the skills if they're not going to college, and so they are on the street. They can't even benefit, and I'm wrapping it up.
Thank you.
They can't benefit from the Panasonic new headquarters. They can't benefit from the M&M Mars new headquarters in Newark. They can't benefit from the Rock, the headquarters of Prudential.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
I'm ending it. Mr. President, I'm saying to you, board members, put on your seatbelt, be alert, and most of all, have a vision. Thank you.
Thank you. Final speaker, Vanessa Roper.
He's here.
Good evening, board members. Happy holiday, Newark Public Schools family. I just want to make my first statement is that when I came into this building, my daughter asked one of the guards, could I come to the main door? They told her no. She told him my dad's disabled. They told her no, he has to go through the back. So my daughter took me through the back. And while we were going through the back, we saw the guard letting other parents and students in the front door. It's disrespectful. I'm disabled. I even asked this district for accommodations, and we still have guards doing this. I did speak with Mr. Harris. He said he was addressing it. And I think this board needs to address it as well. And you guys need to make sure I go out that front door for my wife to pick me up. It is dark in the back, and it's disrespectful as a visually impaired person. Now, let me say this. Last night I met with several superintendents and several county superintendents, and it wasn't here. I was actually about 30, 40 minutes from here. They told me that, and I'm asking this board or the deputy superintendent who's standing here today, a question. They told me that in their districts, that their kids, only thing their kids have to do is score 950 on the parts. And then they tell the parents to exempt them for the rest of the years. And they're doing this in the 9th grade. Now, I haven't heard this, but I did talk with parents whose children were exempt from scoring 950. Now, if this is true, why is this being told to us? And why is our children, or why our children are under so much pressure when they're preparing their children to pass those tests in the 9th grade, and then they exempt them? So I'm asking the board to investigate that, and if you have the answer, please give it to me tonight. The other thing I want to say is that I have a young man who my wife and I took custody of, who has muscular dystrophy, in a wheelchair. Bus stopped because they were speeding. Kids fell out the wheelchair on the bus. The bus tried to cover it up. JFK tried to cover up. My wife and I never even received a phone call. Kid came home hurt. Had to take him to the hospital. And this is how we treat our special ed kids. Never mind the mainstream. I have met with Mrs. Granada, trying to get some things in place and get the IP that they're supposed to be accommodating, which they're not in place. We have to revamp this special education program and move forward. These kids with special ed are going through hell. The child study teams are basically 19th millennium, not understanding, don't care, disrespectful, won't even call you back. But this is what we're going through. The other thing I want to bring up quickly, and I want to say this. 7 years ago, I did an investigation of Newark Public School PTA, PTOs, and discovered there was fraud going on and turned it over to the district. Had parent liaisons, as they was called at that time, spending $1,700 on their wedding dresses. Now I find out, and I'm talking about Horton, I turned some information over to the
Thank you,
principal.
Mr. Rojas.
Let me finish. Just one. All I need is 30 seconds, Mr. Lewis. Turned the information over to the district. Spoke with the principal this year to ask her to investigate her school and investigate her staff. She said she was going to do the right thing and turned around and put on a bogus PTO election. Now I'm meeting with Ms. Munoz on Monday in the building. You got a bogus election. You got staff members governing student activity funds that have robbed the kids out of their PTA, by their graduation money and other events that they promised them. I'm asking this board to investigate Horton. And I'm asking them to investigate every PTA and PTO in North.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm also letting you know this.
Thank you, Mr.
I've
Rojas.
already met Mr. Lewis. I've already met with prosecutor's office. Either you guys can investigate or some folks going to be going to jail.
That is the end of public participation. Now we'll have any comments
Mr. Lewis?
on public? Which one? I heard my
That
name.
was
Oh, Ms.
principal.
Carter.
Ms. Fonseca.
Oh my God.
I know we sound alike because we cool like that, but yeah. I just have 3 things that I wanted to address tonight. I'm on a roll today, guys. I normally don't talk, but Ms. Gregory, I know you've brought up to our attention and several other community members with regard to the audit, and I just wanted to respond to you. I'm not sure where you are, Ms. Gregory. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, maybe someone can let her know. On behalf of the Finance Committee, we also reported this out at our business meeting. At the next Finance Committee meeting, we're going to have an auditor come in and explain to us what the process is to conduct the audit that has been mentioned here so that we can kind of prepare and be well aware of what we're presenting or what exactly we're looking for. So at the next business meeting, we should have a response with that. The second thing is, I know Ms. Wilhelmina brought up about the buildings and the situation in various of our schools. So at the Finance Committee a few months ago, we also discussed conducting a facilities audit because we feel that the district has only been reactive and not proactive on a lot of the situations at our schools. And we constantly get the excuse that some of these things weren't budgeted for, and about time we address them, they're at an extremely bad situation. So it's like we're paying more money to fix these issues. So conducting a facilities audit would allow us to better prepare and budget ourselves to correct the issues at our schools. So we're definitely having that discussion, and it's something that as a committee we're definitely pushing the district to do because we understand the necessity and we do not want our kids in schools that are not fit for them. And lastly, I'm just going to request that the district look into Mr. Brown's request about the ACT waiver. Mr. Brown brings up a lot of these issues, and about time he gets an answer, it's a little late in the game. So I don't know if Mr. Brad or someone from the Finance office can get back to Mr. Brown on what the process is and what's available. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Anyone else? Ms. Johnson?
Good evening, everybody. I just had something real short. It was a student that was in here, and he actually just walked out. I just wanted to acknowledge him and his classmate, him standing right there, and the other young guy, he walked out. These 2 young gentlemen were at the local control meeting that was held in the West Ward when we had it, and they had some interesting questions that they had asked, and I had invited them to come to our next meeting, and they came. So I just wanted to acknowledge them for being here this evening. Oh, it's him. He's walking in now. So right there, you. I forget how you say your name. I'm sorry. I'm talking about you. Yeah, you. I'm sorry. I forget how do you pronounce your name. Diamba. So I just wanted to acknowledge Diamba for coming to the meeting tonight and his presence at the local control meeting and his friends over here. They go to American History High School, and they kind of debated with me at the local control meeting a little bit, but I just wanted to acknowledge them. Thank you guys for coming.
Anyone else?
Myself, Chair. I just want to acknowledge speaker number 1, Xavier Torres. If we could have the Operations Committee just look into, I guess, equipment or how we can get some funding for that track team, please. Thank you.
I said it.
Okay.
I said after he spoke.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Maybe I wasn't here.
Anybody else? You say yeah, Miss Gavin? Oh, okay. Just one thing, I know we talked, Miss Gregory also talked about the budget. I just want to ask if maybe we can offline, Ms. Fonseca, me and you, we could talk about community input in our next upcoming budget season. And also, that's what I just said, Mr. Alco. Okay, thank you. Also, board members visiting schools. I know our board members, we are split up, assigned schools in each ward. So I just want to ask if for the month of December, February, if some of our board members, if we could visit some schools and just, when we report out each month, just report out, your visit to school, what happened when you went to your visit school so that community see that we are visiting schools. I know we do visit school often. I know the other day, me, myself, Ms. Carter, and Ms. Garcia was at technology, and some other, and me and Mr. Bledsoe last Thursday was at George Washington Carver. So just so the community see that we are walking our buildings, so we do know what's going on in our schools. And sometime when we're there. So I've been to Shabazz too, Miss Jackie. Yeah. You ain't there, so how you gonna see me? How you gonna see me? I love Miss Jackie. I just messing with her. No, so that's all. I just want to ask from board members. Miss Johnson.
I just had one more question. Mr. Koenig, you had shout out some numbers in your speech that you gave. So I'm curious because I didn't catch the part where you said, I think it was like 185. So I wasn't sure if you were saying 185 kids were suspended or if you were saying 185 kids in total. I know that was the freshman number that you said, the numbers that you said. If you could give the information to board relations.
Okay, who do I give it to?
Right here.
At the table right here.
Okay. So I was just unclear with that. I think that was.
All right. So now we're ready to vote. We're moving on to voting items. We're gonna first do finance and operations. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Garcia, Carter.
This is taken as a package. Garcia Pack and Garcia Carter. This motion to vote on all finance and operations item as a package, finance operations, purchasing, and facilities items through 12.20. Moved by Ms. Garcia, second by Ms. Carter. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries. We're going to take them as a package. Is there a motion to move it?
Motion.
Fonseca Bledsoe.
This is a motion to vote on all finance operations, purchasing, facilities items. Moved by Ms. Fonseca, second by Mr. Bledsoe. Roll call, Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes.
Fonseca.
Yes.
Ms. Gaddy. Ms. Garcia.
Yes.
Ms. John.
Yes.
Ms. Owens.
Yes.
Mr. Padilla.
Yes.
Chair Lewis.
Yes.
Finance operations items approved. Legal items, there are 4 policies. Is there a motion to take them as a whole?
Motion.
I cannot hear you.
This is a motion to take the legal policy items as a whole. Ms. Garcia, is there a second?
Second.
Bledsoe. This motion to take the legal items as a package, moved by Ms. Garcia, second by Mr. Bledsoe. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? We're going to take them as a whole. Is there a motion to vote on these items?
Motion.
Bledsoe. Second.
Second.
Garcia. This motion to vote on all legal items. Roll call. Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Abstain.
Ms. Fonseca.
Abstain.
Ms. Gaddy.
This is illegal.
Yeah, this is the legal policy items. Ms. Gaddy.
Which policy?
We're taking them as a whole. The one. You want to break them out?
Yeah, what the policies are.
Okay, the policies are the mandatory revisions to the alt ed program, 6172, promotion retention, 6146.2,
Alternative education.
supplemental remediation instruction, they're all in the resolution in case the department, 6171.1, standards of proficiency, 6147. Those were all went through P&I. The board member use of internet social networks and electronic communication, and also the art and mural policy that went through operations. Okay? So I had Bledsoe as a yes, I had Ms. Carter as an abstain, I had Ms. Fonseca as an abstain, I had Ms. Gaddy as a yes. Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Owens? Yes. Mr. Padilla?
Yes.
Chair Lewis?
Yes.
Motion carries. Legal policies approved. Personnel.
Personnel is next.
A motion to separate the coordinator position?
Yeah, let's remove the coordinator position since I understand that candidate took themselves out. So there's a motion to remove the coordinator position from the agenda, the personnel agenda. All in favor? Any motion, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Carter?
Second.
Padilla. This is a motion to remove the coordinator position from the agenda as that candidate took herself out. Moved by Ms. Carter, second by Mr. Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed or abstain? Okay. That person's removed from the agenda.
Another motion to remove the senior manager promotion position from the group.
This is a motion to pull the senior manager board relations position from the group. Moved by Ms. Carter. Is there a second?
Second.
Gaddy. Motion to pull the senior manager board relations from the vote. Moved by Ms. Carter, second by Ms. Gaddy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, that item's pulled.
A motion to remove the director of labor relations.
Specialist. Second. And we want to vote on that one individually, right?
This is,
We
right,
want to
so
vote on it.
this is a motion to remove it from the agenda for tonight, right, Ms. Carter?
It's a motion to separate it from the group, from the block vote.
Okay, the other two items we're not voting on tonight. This is a motion
No,
to
it's
separate,
to
vote
separate.
separately. Gotcha.
I want to separate all of them.
Okay,
Then we'll decide whether or not we're voting on them after. Right?
except for the coordinator, because the coordinator removed
Yes.
stuff. Okay, gotcha. So this is a motion to vote on separately the executive director of relations, labor relations. Moved by Ms. Carter and second by Ms. Gaddy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, that's removed. You want to vote on the other personnel item? Okay. This is a motion to vote on all other personnel items with the exception of the executive director of labor relations and the senior manager. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. I'll second.
Thank you. I have Ms. Carter and second by Ms. Gaddy. This is a motion to approve the personnel agenda items, everything with the exception of the senior manager and executive director of labor relations. Moved by Ms. Carter, second by
And,
Ms. Gaddy.
and the coordinator position.
Coordinator, all right, the coordinator is off the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you. Roll call on this. Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Fonseca?
Yes.
Ms. Gaddy?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Padilla?
Yes.
Chair Lewis?
Yes.
All personnel items approved with the exception of the senior manager and the executive director of labor relations.
Okay.
Yeah, want to handle those separately? What do you want to do? So the two items that were made were the
A
senior...
motion to table the vote for the senior manager.
Second. That's Martha's, right? Yeah, Martha's.
Okay, this is a motion to table the vote, the personnel vote for the senior manager, moved by Ms. Carter and second by Ms. Gaddy. Mr. Lewis, I'm sorry, Mr. Bledsoe.
No.
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Fonseca?
Yes.
Ms. Gaddy?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Padilla,
Yes.
Chair Lewis.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We're going to table that item. Executive Director of Labor Relations, Rand.
I'm sorry. Yes, for that position. I'm confused.
That was a motion to table on the senior manager.
Yes.
Right, okay.
So yes.
Gotcha. How are we handling the Executive Director of Labor?
We're gonna vote. We have a motion to vote
What do you?
on a position. Can we get a motion to vote?
Wait a minute. I thought you.
No, we were gonna.
Okay, so there's one position remaining. It's the Executive Director of Labor Relations. I need to know if the board's going to vote on position or vote to table position.
Motion to table.
Okay, so I have Ms. Gaddy on a motion to table. Is there a second?
No, I don't want to table it.
No second? Is there a motion to vote on the position?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia, is there a second to vote on the position?
Yes.
Padilla.
Motion to vote.
Okay, this is a motion to actually vote on the Executive Director of Labor. Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
No.
Ms. Fonseca?
Yes.
Ms. Gaddy?
No.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
No.
Mr. Padilla?
Yes.
Chair Lewis?
No.
3, 4, 5. I got 5 yeses, 4 noes. Motion passes. Program instruction.
Before, sorry. I needed to change my vote on the legal items.
Okay.
I abstained. I wanted to vote no. I'm sorry. But
Okay.
I wanted to say, can I say something? All right, so on that item, I'm voting as a group no because that's how we voted on it, but I wanted to say no because with regards to the mural program, I asked the chair of the operations committee, that's you, right, Tave?
Yep.
And I also asked one of our lawyers that kind of sits with us, and I said that in my field of expertise, what I do as a professional, I have some type of experience with that, and I wanted to be able to bring my knowledge to the table to ensure that we are doing everything properly. I was not reached out to once, and when the decision was made or kind of like formalized, we received an email as a group, but I wanted to have an open discussion because we run the largest program in the state of New Jersey and Jersey City. We've been doing it from inception, so there's obviously things that I was able to bring to the table and not have, here we go again, doing something, and then just putting it up for a vote when asked by board members to have some type of inclusion. I'm not an expert, but I'm able to bring something to the table, and that opportunity was not afforded, and I asked 2 different individuals.
So, Ms. Fonseca, I didn't have knowledge that you asked to be a part of it. I apologize that you didn't get the opportunity to be a part of that. I had no knowledge of that.
It's all good, thank you. I just wanted to make that point so that when my vote is no, there's a reason why, but I appreciate it.
Thank you. Program instruction voting? Motion to take these items as a whole?
Can we get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Fonseca and Padilla. This is to take all items together. Moved by Ms. Fonseca and second by Mr. Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to vote on these items?
Yeah, motion.
Motion to approve all P&I items?
Motion.
Second.
Carter.
No, Fonseca.
I'm sorry. Fonseca, Padilla. This is a vote, motion to vote on all P&I items, 15.2, 15.3, moved by Ms. Fonseca, second by Mr. Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? P&I items approved.
That's it? A motion to adjourn?
New business.
There's no older new business.
Comments from board members? I just want to bring up something that I discussed at the business meeting regarding our retreat, to make sure that the agenda item around leadership for this board, that's on that agenda. Also, just kind of want to discuss some concerns for operations. The Operations Committee, we had an extensive conversation about the potential enrollment of the Essex County School and the impacts that will have on this district. So I want to make sure that is on the agenda for operations. That school, the new school will open up. Right now, the county school has about 2,400 students. With the new school, I want to know what the impacts will be on this district. So I want to ensure that does not fall through the cracks and we address those concerns. Also, I do want to discuss some concerns. I want to first congratulate Shabazz and Weequahic High School and encourage all of our viewers to attend the game on Saturday, December 2nd, at Keene University to support our students. Lastly, I want to always raise the concerns about the safety of our students in this district. I'm still seeing a lot of issues at our high schools. Cars are just, flying through the streets, in particular Arts High, where my son attends every morning. That is still a problem, even though we have the blinking light. So I just want to make sure that we again revisit that, and for operations, reach out to the City of Newark as well to have the right representative at our Operations Committee. Thank you.
Board, just for the clarification, this agenda was approved at the business meeting. There's no old or new business on the agenda. And also for clarification, the agenda for the retreat is already set and have been approved. I also want to thank the students for making dinner for us tonight from the North Institute of Culinary. Let's please give them a round of applause. Can I get a motion to adjourn? That's what's it.
Okay.
Agenda is set and approved. What we already discussed. Personnel. So the additional requests won't be granted.
Mr. Chair, just to be clear, so in the executive session, we added tonight's executive session, we added an agenda item. Does that mean that is not going to be on the agenda?
Yeah, it's personnel, so that's going to be on the agenda.
Okay, but executive session is different from the training that we're receiving in personnel. And I'm just getting
it's already on, it's already on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second. Von Sackis, second Bledsoe. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Happy
opposed?
holidays.
Meeting adjourned.